very, very difficult terrain between Mombasa and Miritini. And we are going through a national park, the Tsavo National Park, where the current meter gauge rail...
You want to show us something?
Yes.
Should we just,
the current meter gauge rail goes through, is on the ground. But what if you can hold this one for me there so that I can use to point. And therefore, if this is the ground, we are actually elevating this railway by up to 3 floors, 9 meters. I'm just giving you a perspective. It's like being on 3rd floor of a building. Because when an elephant comes, you cannot tell an elephant now crawl through this viaduct. Or a giraffe. You cannot tell it now, we did not build it the height, sufficient height for you. Please bed a little and go across. So this is a 9-meter embankment, like on 3rd floor. And that is what is happening through the entire Tsavo National Park, with viaducts for animals to cross through. Now, in the Tsavo National Park, 100 kilometers, that is like a distance from here up to Naivasha and beyond, is up to Gilgil. You are not allowed to build this embankment. The soil cannot come from within. Therefore, you can imagine that you are at Remuru or somewhere, and you have to go for the soil in Jiro and then bring it in there. So all this soil and material for building has to come outside the national park. Equally, any material that you excavate here, because it may be roofs, it may be black cotton soil, you cannot dump it here. You have to take it outside the national park. This is an additional cost. Now, having said that, the next one...
well, there was it. Why didn't we consider it in the first place?
Now,
why should it come as an afterthought?
It's not an afterthought. It's not, this is what is the build-up of the cost. It's not an afterthought. It means these guys were really thinking, look, in places where you don't build the viaduct, the embankment, then we go through a viaduct. Some of these are 19 meters high. So you are looking at a railway that is passing about 6 meters, 6 floors. So you are on 6th floor of a building and you are looking at it. Between Nairobi and Miritini, we have structures that are 69 meters high. That is the 23rd floor of any building. You go to the 23rd floor, and if you are looking from down, that is where you'll be seeing the railway. Because the gradient of this railway is 1.2%. So in every 1 meter, in every 1 kilometer, you raise by 120 meters.
You've told us this before. The Deputy President talked about it. What are you doing also about areas where you're going through or around water bodies? Because part of the problem was that, you know, 100 years ago, we didn't have the technology to, you know, accommodate the terrain of the land. So you've talked to us about our wildlife. But what about
now, that is now engineering. We may have to do piling, where we are going through water bodies, lift up the piling is basically digging, driving what we call piles in very deep where the soils are not good. So it's more of an engineering solution. It's very, very technical. The other aspect that I forgot to mention, which is very, very critical, is that the entire length of this railway is fenced. Because you cannot, yes, it's fenced. The entire distance of 485 kilometers, because that is the length.
So that we don't have a Kibera situation.
You cannot, in fact, here the problem is the train will not stop at 120 kilometers. The stopping distance of this train is, it has to be unimpeded. So the fencing and the maintenance of that, and then we have a road also for maintenance. Number 2, we are double stacking.
Which means?
We are putting 2 containers, one on top of the other. And therefore, this is not just a single container.
That's a 20 feet or something.
So what we are having is, we are having trains, although this may not be very, very clear. This is the train, I mean the locomotive, but the containers are 2. When you have 2 containers stacked, one on top of the other, basically that means all your bridges.
Let's see if we can focus in on this so that
all the bridges and all the structures have to be high to accommodate. We have very, very many, we have about 13 places where we are closing the alignment of the old railway, the meter gauge. And we are not doing it at grid. Therefore, we have to do what we did at Thika Road. Like at Kahawa Sukari, you have cars that are passing, you allow the other train to pass. And then we have about 17 places where it is crossing the highway. And therefore, we have to do what we would call things like, again, flyovers.
Because of the
So all that contributes to the cost. Number two, the railway that is being done in Ethiopia, basically, the steel is about 50 kilograms per meter length. Ours is 70 because of the capacity. And it has a capacity of 24 tons. 24 tons axle load. In roads, when we are in roads, when we build the roads, we allow 8 tons. Therefore, we are saying this has a capacity of 3 times. So all these things contribute to the foundations that you have to put. But we are seeing it is viable, and we are seeing a project that will be there for the next 40 years.
Why not upgrade or refurbish the existing railway lines in the country?
First of all, we have a concessionaire who is on that, and we cannot touch it. That's number one, because he has a concession that is ongoing. Although we are allowed to review
How long for?
I think it was a 30-year concession, but it is reviewed every time. But the geometrics of it is that the alignment of this, we cannot have sharp beds. No. Now, the beds are very, very gentle. They are up to 1,200. Actually, you don't know that you are going through a curve. At Miritini, the existing standard gauge rail actually ropes it in order to climb. It goes like that. Now, this railway, the trains will be about 1 kilometer. And therefore, you cannot have a rope where this train, the head is going that way, but the tail is remaining because it's going to topple. Therefore, the alignment is very, very different. So we could not have gone on the existing alignment.
So when you complete this project, this old road will still continue functioning?
It will still continue, and it will be required. We'll be requiring the cargo from the port of Mombasa is growing. It's growing on a daily basis. There is business. It's like Thika Road. When we built it, we only had a dual carriage. When we put 12 lanes, everybody was saying now look at Thika Road today.
Is it agreed, Waziri, how many locomotives and rolling stocks we are going to buy?
Yes. I have the figures here because I didn't want to memorize them.
Okay, why don't we come back to that, which will give you time during the break to get the figures to your hand. This is Cheche, live on Citizen TV. The Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Infrastructure, Engineer Micheal Kamau, is today's guest. If you've got any thoughts, questions, opinions for him, you can send them to SMS 22422, or you can tweet us. Our handle is Cheche_TV.